So, yeah, I think I really want to start with the fact that the eagle-eyed viewers who stayed and watched all the credits might have noticed that your name was in the credits as the radio DJ who kicks off the film, who claims to know the answer to true love. And of course we don't get it because the radio static breaks up, but I have you here now. I can put you on the spot. What is the answer to true love?
No problem. The answer to... well, there isn't an answer to true love. That's why the radio DJ gets cut off. Or is there? You guys know something I don't? Because I just made a whole movie about it and I didn't find out shit. So I'm still in a lot of relationship trouble, so if anybody has any advice, come talk to me. Do you have any advice for me?
Yeah,
maybe. This one might.
Nobody wants to hear my answer to true love.
I do.
Okay, well, let me give another. My whole definition of true love for this movie is like, if you've seen my shit, and I've seen your shit, and it doesn't matter, I still hold your hand and walk through. That was kind of how I got to this definition of true love. But then, right before we started shooting, the lady that kind of helped me get to that definition broke up with me, so then it just kind of changed everything for me, which I think was probably a blessing in disguise, for sure. Because it made me kind of look at the women in the film much differently. Before, I was like running up to shooting, it was all about Templeton and kind of his viewpoint and stuff. And then after I was like uneasy in my own feet, then I was like turning to Pollyanna and the other women to try to answer my own personal questions through this movie. But yeah.
So most people, they keep their perversions to themselves. You've chosen to write about them, so does that make you a bigger pervert than most people?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel as an independent filmmaker, the best thing that I can do is embarrass the hell out of myself and tell my own personal stories, and hopefully somebody can relate to that. So that's the goal here.
Pollyanna, Irene, and Templeton, they do more talking than they do screwing, so I'm wondering if the thing that really...
Shot low, we just didn't put it on screen. I'm kidding.
He's got it in the private bank.
Private bank.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if the thing that turns them on most is kind of more of a cerebral kink, I suppose.
Yeah, I think there's a real appeal for me, reading it, that in the relationship is very honest, and obviously he says that. But it's not entirely honest.
True.
And what was really lovely, and it's lovely about Graham's writing, it's lovely for me seeing it for the third time, is that you kind of discover the little turns and twists, as you go along. And I've just come off a month of filming a horror movie for 12 days. I haven't had a day off, and I'm like, what was the question again?
Well, I'll ask you this instead, we'll put it this way. Brian was talking about that you got to interject your point of view in the characters, and not just acting the part, therefore, but helping with the construction of the character in those scenes.
Yeah, I'm remembering your previous question now, and that we have the cerebral connection. But yeah, Brian and I have known each other for a long time, and I did another movie with him called Carlos Spills the Beans, which was here playing the other night, tiny role. But Brian and Brett, who plays Bobby, and a bunch of the people involved are great friends. And Brian came to me with this, and yeah, I kind of got my fingers in it a bit, didn't I? Well, there weren't that many changes, but he's a great collaborative person, and I think he casts people who he feels are right for the role and kind of lets them run with it. And I got to know the guy who played Templeton quite well before we started shooting. I was trying to lend him bits of my wardrobe to get him comfortable with dressing up as a woman, but he was having none of it. I did a bit there, didn't I? Because he was really shitting himself about getting dressed up as a chick. Which is weird, because he's a really open guy, but I was like, I had him around my house for rehearsals, just the two of us, and I was like, put this 90 on and scroll. So, thanks. So yeah, like all the costumes that we wear are my clothes for that stuff. And I just we played with that a lot, didn't we? And then I wanted this big smile up the side of my face for the cardboard box city scene, and I wanted just to be a bit like, she'd like playing at Grace Jones or something, So yeah, it was kind of a collaborative effort, but Brian writes and shoots so fast that the energy just really whips you up, and I think everybody feels as important as the next person on set, and even though we have to move very fast, he always finds time to have chats when needed, so it's a good atmosphere.
Let's talk about that a little bit, the shooting style, because your section in the middle, it's kind of this very protracted conversation that almost it almost feels a little like a self-contained play within the movie. So I'm wondering, was it shot in long takes, and if so, were you able to just lose yourself in it and kind of forget about cast and crew and cameras?
There were moments that, I mean, the whole thing, I think if you work the way that he likes to work and the way that I like to work, there is no distraction with cast and crew and stops and technical stuff, because you just get to know the character so well and the person opposite you, and it feels very natural, you know. But we did the bedroom scene as kind of one big take, didn't we? And that was really fun.
I think we kind of, well, when we got to your section, we had already done like the Vegas party stuff and everything, and so it just seemed like we had all the time in the world. Like we were like kind of taking breaks and just like hanging out and stuff, and I would be like, all right, let's go back to work or whatever. And we just kind of, there wasn't a lot of pressure or whatever. It seemed really easy at that time. And I feel like we shot most of the scenes kind of in succession as the day went or whatnot. But I don't know, it was just a lot of fun.
We're getting back to Cerebral Kink. I mean, it's a film about perversion and sex, and there's not an awful lot of sex in it. And in fact, probably the most graphic thing is the penis on the painting in Shelley's house, probably. So yeah, actually, why don't you tell us about the painting first? Because it's the poster art for the film as well.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, the painting was written into the script, and the art director is also in the film. He plays Helmut. He's the guy wearing all white, kind of getting cosmic there at the end with the long blonde Scandinavian hairstyle. But he is an incredible, strange little artist, and I, kept bugging him to do the painting, and he kept coming to me and going, "Well, why don't you and your girlfriend pose for the?" And I'm like, I don't want to pose for this painting, So eventually he ended up doing the painting, but it was always in the script. It was always on the wall in the bathroom. I knew the camera was going to hang on it for a very long, awkward time. And I kind of love that moment, because for me, when they start talking, the voices start talking in the other room, I always kind of imagine that it's the painting voices that are talking to each other. So I don't know, I love that weird kind of penis art. I think it fits the movie quite well.
But you shoot the sex scenes in a way that we can't actually see what's going on, and you told me about this before, and I just find it really interesting. The shot with the fishbowl, it didn't quite do what you wanted it to do.
Right.
Why don't you
Yeah, the fish inside the fishbowl are Japanese fighting fish, and we were hoping that they were gonna go at it while they were going at it behind it, but in the sake of time, the fish just kind of like danced around each other a little bit. And I think by the time we were done shooting that scene, they were starting to go at it, and then we were like, all right, yeah, let's take them out, let's take one out. We didn't want to get the animal people against us or whatnot. But the fish shot too. All those shots in that scene, all the sex scenes were always like, all right, how do I do this without just making it like a straight porn or whatnot? Or, to me, sex is never really the most important thing, especially in this film. It's more about what they have to say afterwards, or it's more about what they're hiding or what they're willing to express and show the other person. That is more. I think that's more perverted than sticking your penis in somebody. I don't know.
It's funny with the fish things. I don't know if you guys got this, but I felt like the first fish was watching them, and the second fish was watching us. Yeah. And I think that worked out really decently.
Yeah, I like the way that worked too. Yeah.
So before we turn it over to the crowd, I've got to ask you about Bobby Dino. He's my favourite character. He's probably everyone's hero, I imagine. Riot. Was that always written into the script that he would sing?
Right. Well, Brett Roberts, who played Bobby Dino, he's been my best friend and producing partner of all the films that we've made. And when I was writing the film, he came to me and he was like, "Can I sing in this movie?" And I thought about it for about a minute. I go, "Yes, you're gonna sing every line in this movie except for one little part." And he was very thrilled about that, because he loves to croon around town. So yeah.
And did anything crazy happen in the Las Vegas party scenes?
Well,
it looked pretty crazy on screen, so I'm wondering if there are any off-screen
I think the only real weird off-screen sort of naughtiness that was happening was the house that we were shooting in was, I didn't know this until I found this out at the time. Well, we weren't supposed to be in there. We were basically illegally in this house that was like a house that was being used to they were like a realtor was bringing in clients. So a realtor brought in some clients when we had like all these shirtless dudes running around with fake cocaine everywhere. And the helmet, the Scandinavian fellow, was, trying to, because he's the one that kind of let us in there because he had done some work on the house. So he's like running over to talk to the realtor, and middle of trying to deal with that, he's like, oh, I gotta go back and shoot a take. So he's like running away, leaving them standing there. So it was the whole Bobby Dino number when he's singing, that's all one take from every angle because the cops were coming and we had to get the fuck out of there. So we did it really fast and it somehow worked out.
And there's a Bobby Dino EP. You should all know that. It was just at the end.
Actually, hopefully there will be a Bobby Dino EP that's seriously going to come out. We're not joking. He's already started writing music and stuff like that. We just need to actually record.
Bobby Dino, the spin-off movie, the series.
There could be.
Like Joey from
the spin-off album. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, does anyone have any questions for Brian or Pollyanna?
Don't be shy.
Do I see one in the back?
There's one.
Polly,
Yeah.
you helped with the dresses and all that, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you, by any chance, help decorate the cardboard boxes as well?
I wish I had, Bradley.
Because that is your sort of thing, I'm sure.
It is my sort of thing. But you've had a few nights like that around our house, haven't you? With less of the sex.
Oh, I remember the blonde wig.
And no, I didn't, because they were already made by the time I got to it, and I was kind of bummed out, but I thought they looked great. They looked really cool.
What is the deal with that? Because I've been talking to other people who've seen the film and we've all got different answers.
Oh wow, I'm so curious to hear what these different theories are. And there was a night and New Year's morning where I was with the real Irene, and there we had one cardboard box, and that thing became a storefront. It became like a roller coaster. I mean, like we turned that thing into everything. I don't know. I love putting sort of magical kid kind of like moments into my films. I like, and on Holiday, my first film, there's like a whole kitchen that's like painted to look like fake brick, and I don't know. It's sort of like it's my kitchen. Yeah, yeah, it's still there now. Yeah, the red brick. 15 years later, no, not that long. No. But I don't know. I love that kind of like imaginative creation stuff. My whole life, I used to build weird haunted houses in the living room, and make little soundtracks by banging on the piano, and then get a big tub of bread and eggs, and make your friends put their hands in it. Shit like that's always fun for me. So I don't know. The idea of a cardboard city, is always appealing to me.
But there's nothing actually perverse about it then.
No, it's just a place to play.
I read way too much into it.
What did you read?
Yeah, what did you get on that?
Okay, here we go. I read that it was because they
Giant
were so
fallacy.
because they were so tall. Well, there was someone who said that, which I think is a bit obvious, really.
Sorry.
But it's okay. This is so you're going to get to laugh next. You're going to get to laugh next. So because you're on the floor, right, and these things are so tall and they're supposed to be skyscrapers, I thought it was like the measure of how far he'd fallen, like the Stygian depths of his perversion.
I like that. That's really great. Yeah.
Like it was.
I'm telling everybody that
it
from
was
now
like
on.
it was Hell City.
That's great.
He's
Hell
saying
City.
that Irene took him the lowest that he's ever
Yeah, that you were like I can't think of who it is. The River Styx. That you were kind of that person.
But most people seem to feel like you guys are men made to be
Yeah.
together. That's kind of
Yeah. Most people do. Most people think Irene's really nice.
Why do you think it is that they're not together?
Because I think Irene for me anyway, Irene recognises that Templeton isn't the guy for her. He's not mature enough. He's fucking around with all this shit, and excuse my language. And he's not prepared the way that he talks about Shelley and all of that stuff. And it's not what she wants from him anyway. She never set out to be with him in that way, and it's fun because it's really bad. I'm maybe giving too much away about myself.
Well,
Not the
You're
present
my
time.
friend too.
Okay, but I think there's a truth for me that I see in shagging somebody and being with somebody in a very casual way and you can be almost more comfortable with yourself and more honest with yourself than you can be with somebody who you really respect a bit more and like a bit more and want to be with and stay with. So it's easier to kind of have that kind of relationship with somebody and get a lot out of it and enjoy it and for it to be so honest. But if you love them and were wanting more from them, you know, they wouldn't be the guy who Templeton is. You know, they would be somebody kind of better, I suppose.
But he actually wants to be with her, I think.
Yeah, but he doesn't really know what he wants. So.
No.
No.
Okay, shot that one down. So
I think he does.
Well,
In that time, but.
I remember, like, after you read it, you came to me, you were like, you know, she really does love them. Like, you were like pointing that out to me, and I was kind of in the back of my head going, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it was there, you know, like,
Yeah.
it just is so underlined, and it's so screwed up because they played the game for so long, that how can you reverse
Yeah.
a situation like that at this point?
Exactly,
You know?
and that's the thing, and that's what I felt like when I was
Shooting it, but watching the movie when it's finished, it's like she can't be with him because he's not the right guy for her. And there's moments where she's looking for that, and she's hoping that he is, but she knows at the end of it that he's not going to be. So you've got to let those ones go.
Say the V.
Say
as
la
Brett
vie.
would say.
Yeah.
Alright, thanks so much guys, really appreciate your time. And thank you everyone for coming out. We should remind everyone that Carlos Spills the Beans is playing, I hope I've got this right, 3:45 tomorrow, I think.
I think so, yeah.
It's fantastic. If you want to see this guy in a Hitler comb over in Tash, well worth the price of admission. I think it's great, as was this film. Thanks so much guys.
Thank you, everybody.
See you next time.
Cheers.